I have to move on and keep us going here. And Jennifer, I haven't heard enough from you, so let's talk about regulation, utilities, and power in the state. So, Mike Braun has been touting how much he cares about Indiana ratepayers, and right now the state is exploring different ways to potentially save ratepayers money. So, members of the General Assembly heard from consultants on Wednesday about the potential benefits of setting utility rates over multiple years rather than approving them annually. They're considering like performance incentives or, reliability incentives.
What are the performance incentives for? To charge us more money? How much they can gouge us? Because it's not on consumer money.
This article suggests it's for things like reliability or accomplishing certain goals, like, I don't know, uptime or having outages fixed quickly, whatever. I don't know. Like currently what we do in Indiana, we have a cost of service regulation model, meaning that utilities file their total services costs annually and then submit that alongside their rate requests. This consulting firm basically recommended potentially a forecasted revenue model under which the utility projects its costs into the future, and then they can maybe set rates for a couple years out ahead at a time, or maybe they've, in addition to performance incentives, maybe there would be performance like penalties if they don't do certain things. Like, for example, one of these consultants shared that utilities could be tasked with reducing their average service interruption times and could be fined if they fall below the benchmark. I don't know. Jennifer, sounds like they're just like robbing Peter to pay Paul. Maybe you move some things here, you move some things here. I mean,
well, nothing
energy is just going to keep going up, right?
Well, nothing that I hear you say seems like it's going to funnel down to the consumer, except for the costs. So, like, if they start getting fined for this and that, who's going to pay for those fines? We're going to pay for those fines. They have a way of funneling this down to us. When I was doing research on this, maybe you can talk a little bit more about this, but the title of this was The Three Kings. And so I was trying to do some research on that because I didn't mention that I'm actually here for Puerto Rico for a while, and Three Kings is a big thing here. They celebrate Three Kings Day a little bit after Christmas. And so I know that that's not what this was about. So I started to do some research, and really you could only find one name. Well, I only found one name of the Three Kings. It seems like a couple of them weren't quite sure. You guys might have other information, but
I've got them, and actually that's our next story because it sort of ties in with this, yeah. But yeah, go ahead.
Well, no, I just was kind of trying to bring that up, but this was an issue obviously the whole time I was campaigning. Before, somebody who really has a lot of good information on this, has done a lot of work, is like Michelle Higgs with the Rural Summit. We talked a lot about this, and also in Southern Indiana and other places across the country. Oh my gosh, I cannot think. Solar farms, solar farms were a big thing. And I think maybe the one out in Clark County didn't end up passing. I'm not quite sure, but those are things that actually have been tearing communities apart. As well.
I kind of want to just tie that back really quickly to like what Dr. Schaefer was talking about earlier about putting solar panels on schools and stuff. I
was like, that's a great idea.
We should every public government building should have solar panels on it. It should just be like we do it and we get as self-sufficient as possible and reduce the power, the utility burden on the government, and also, potentially be selling energy back to the grid. That there's so many things we could be doing around power generation, and we're going to just have to keep more and more and more and more, right, because all these damn data centers keep coming in.
That's right.
I did want to point out, we talked about data centers a lot last week in the lead up to a vote by the Indianapolis City County Council there on a proposed Google data center in Franklin Township there in southeastern Marion County. And on Monday, Google pulled that project just before the vote, and it was expected to be voted down. So because Google announced that it was pulling the project, number one, it was met with huge cheers from the massive crowd gathered to protest. But also, because the vote was never taken, they could theoretically come back with this again as early as next month. There's a 1 year waiting period if it had been voted down, but now maybe they wait for the uproar to die down and they slide this thing right back on in. But let's see. None of you folks are in the Indianapolis area, but I bet all of you have a data center project in your area somewhere. Just a real quick comment on this, Dr. Mike.
Yeah, I think, we love the fact that we're connected. Everywhere we go, we want to be connected. I remember when it used to be that if you drove, I used to live in Marion, not Marion County, Marion. And if you drove 5 minutes out of the town, you didn't get a cell phone signal. And so you knew that if you were going to get a cell phone signal and you're driving to Indianapolis, you had to go on the interstate, because along the interstate, you could get a cell phone signal. But if you went on 37, you couldn't. Well, we're very proud of the fact that we're accessible everywhere. We can reach, I just got an alert from the New York Times or the Washington Post, one of the two, which I read every day. How cool is that? We want to be connected, but we don't pay the price for it. And the price is somebody has to build those centers. And if we have the spot and if it makes money for the state, which it does, and we need to insist that it makes more money for the state, then it's a good thing. Now, people, I know people don't like it. We're taking up farmland. Well, right now, we're making more money on data center than we would make in products that we can't sell because of tariffs.
Stick a pin in that. That's coming up too.
Yeah.
So, yeah, like you said, we all look at us here, all of us live streaming in HD. We're using a ton of data. That stuff's stored somewhere. It turns out, the cloud isn't actually in the clouds. It's in giant buildings all over the state. And yeah, we're going to have these things, but the important thing, like you mentioned, Leslie, is going to be not giving away the farm.
What I'm concerned about is water. We cannot live without water, and it uses a ton of water. And I don't know why they can't have more. Well, we do know why they can't have more environmental regulations or work to cool them in a different way. I don't know. But if it sucks up all the fresh water, there's going to be less water in the fields, less water in people's wells. We hear about what's going on near Memphis, where, Elon Musk, there's some giant data center or something down there, and people are having, asthma.
They're powering with diesel generators. Yeah, not good. Not good.
I agree that we like our data, we love it, but we think
nothing is free.
Why can't we do this in a better way that is not going to jeopardize not only us, but the future generations? Are we going to turn Indiana into a dust bowl, into a desert? Because I think Saudi Arabia had water, right? Like something happened there.
Yeah, we absolutely have to make sure we're doing these things the right way.